I know it's going to look a little different than the last video I made. I know I said I was going to try and get my face in it and everything, but it didn't quite work out. I recorded a whole thing this morning, and it only saved about 10 minutes or so. So we are going to try something. Probably go back, not try something different. Try to go to the original here. Uh, but we'll see. I'm just going to do a couple picks here, bet against the spread and everything. I bet a little bit on FanDuel and everything. Just thought I'd share my picks and everything. And kind of just let this game play as is. I'm not playing right now. I'm just going to talk and give my picks and everything. So first up, we got Thursday night game, which is Chicago Bears, at the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders are favored by 6.5. Chicago, I really don't know what's going on with Chicago. I think Sam Howell is the guy for Washington moving forward. Maybe not in a couple of years, but at least for right now, in a year or two, until they figure something out. Maybe he comes into his own. I don't know. But for right now, I am going to take the Washington Commanders at -6.5. I really think they're going to win by 10, if not more, against these guys. So that's why I'm going to pick the Washington Commanders at -6.5. Money line, I'd go straight Commanders as well. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Buffalo Bills. Jacksonville is a tough team. I know Buffalo's a really good team. They just mollywopped the Dolphins and everything. But Buffalo is favored by 5.5. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars here at +5.5. I still think Buffalo probably wins this game, but I think it comes down to a field goal, maybe a touchdown, which I know that'll beat the spread, but I think it's going to be like 3-4, somewhere around there. Maybe like a 20-23 game, 24-7, something like that. And I really think Jacksonville could go into Buffalo and beat them, especially with the injuries Buffalo suffered last week. I think that's really big. So I'm going to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars at +5.5. Next up, I got the Houston Texans at the Atlanta Falcons. Right now, the Atlanta Falcons are favored by 1.5. Houston's been balling. C.J. Stroud, back-to-back 300-yard games, no interceptions yet. Maybe he'll throw his first pick against Atlanta here. But I don't have any faith in Desmond Ridder right now. So I'm going to take the Houston Texans at +1.5, and I really do think if I had to bet money line here, I'm going to pick the Houston Texans. I think they're going to go into Atlanta, walk away with a win, and they are going to surprise a lot of people. I know in the last video I made, I think I mentioned it at least, many people didn't pick the Texans to win a lot of games this year. One game, maybe two. But they're on track right now. I think they got 2 wins already, so they're already surpassing some people's totals and everything. So I'm going to take the Texans at +1.5 here. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Detroit Lions. The Lions are favored by 8.5 points right here. Something that a lot of people don't talk about, especially in the NFL. Of course, you got to have your people and your matchups on paper that look good and everything. And right now, Detroit against Carolina looks really good. But they're not talking. Some people are talking about it, but most people don't bring in the culture aspect to the game. And I think what Dan Campbell's doing up there in Detroit, I think he was the right guy to bring in. I know it was a shaky couple of years at first, but I think they're finally coming into their own. They got some good young players, got some good young talent, and I think going forward, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFC, especially the NFC North, the way things are kind of shaping out there. But let's get back to the pick there. I am going to take the Detroit Lions at -8.5. I think it's going to be like a 10, if not 2-score game. 2 touchdowns, so I'm going to take the Detroit Lions at -8.5 here. Next up on my list here is the Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. Right now, the Colts are favored at 1.5. And I should have started this from the very beginning on the video. These are the spreads as of Tuesday. So they could change. They change day by day. Who knows, by Saturday, Sunday morning before this game, it may flip-flop and Tennessee may be favored. But for right now, I'm going off the spreads based off of Tuesday. And right now on Tuesday, it is the Indianapolis Colts favored by 1.5. I think Tennessee's going to go down and get a win, so I'm going to take them at +1.5. I like what Anthony Richardson and the Colts are doing. They got Jonathan Taylor back. But I think Tennessee is overall going to be too much for them to handle. It'll be a close game, but I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans at +1.5 here. Next up, we got the New York Giants at the Miami Dolphins. The Giants have not been looking good all season. That Monday night game against Seattle, that offensive line was horrendous. I know Daniel Jones has had his issues and everything, but that offensive line, that's a killer. If your offensive line, sorry, I'm a little congested. If your offensive line can't block, and right now the New York Giants, they cannot block, leaving Daniel Jones prone to making mistakes. Sorry, fumbles, interceptions, things like that. So I am going to take the Miami Dolphins here at minus 10.5. I think they kind of blow New York out of the water here. So that would be my pick. Miami Dolphins at minus 10.5 here. Next up, I went back and forth on this one quite a bit. I'm still going back and forth. But for this, it's the New Orleans Saints at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are favored by 1.5 right now. Like I said, I'm kind of going back and forth. I never know what team is going to show up for either one of these. You may get a New Orleans team that shows up defensively. You may get one that doesn't show up. New England, their offense is pretty shaky. Mac Jones got benched last week against the Cowboys, which that didn't help anything, playing that Cowboys defense and everything. But I am going to take the New England Patriots right here because it is in Foxborough at minus 1.5 over the Saints. Next up, another iffy kind of game. It's the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know people are going to say, well, the Pittsburgh Steelers suck. Yeah, in my opinion, they do suck right now. But this is an AFC North rivalry game that it's always a good game. It doesn't matter if the Ravens are good and the Steelers are bad, or the Steelers are bad and the Ravens are good. It always ends up being a good game. Now, I may be wrong here, and I really think the Ravens should blow them out of the water. But, like I said, it's a rivalry game, division game. You never know what's going to happen. Right now, the Ravens are favored at -4. I'm going to stick with the Ravens. I really think they probably do win by 3 scores, if not more. But, like I said, you never know. But for right now, I am going to take the Ravens at -4. Next up here, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Los Angeles Rams. The Eagles are favored by 4.5. I don't know if Cooper Kupp is back this week. I know he's kind of been practicing a little bit here and there. And I'm interested to see what Matt Stafford does with his target shares with him and Pacheco on the field. If you cover one, one's got to be open. If you double cover one, one's got to be open. And I think that's what's going to happen. Matthew Stafford's going to find them, get dink and dunk everywhere. But I think Philadelphia is kind of hitting their stride right now. We're starting to get to I don't want to say the midpoint of the season, but we're approaching the midpoint of the season, a couple weeks away. And I think Philadelphia is hitting their stride. So I'm going to take Philadelphia at -4.5 here. This next one, I think I talked about a little bit in the previous video. It's the Cincinnati Bengals at the Arizona Cardinals. Cincy is favored by 3 right now, but that offense has been struggling. Joe Burrow is injured. That calf injury is still lingering around. You can tell just by watching him in the pocket and everything. He doesn't look like the same Joe Burrow that we've seen the last couple of years. I'm going to ride with the Bengals one more week just to see how things work out. Maybe they got all their jitters out and everything. Maybe Jamar Chase kind of expressing how he was upset about not getting any, I don't want to say not getting any targets, not getting as many targets as he would like. I'm going to give them one more week. If you go by last year, I know this is last year, not this year, Cincinnati will probably beat them by 20-plus points. But I like the way Josh Dobbs has been doing things down there. They kind of said the Cardinals were going to tank this year to try and get Caleb Williams with Kyler Murray out. They didn't have a lot of hopes for the Cardinals, but the Cardinals have been playing some decent football. They look really bad at sometimes, but they look really good at sometimes. When they beat the Cowboys, I don't know if it was a fluke game or what, but I am going to take the Cincinnati Bengals here at -3. Next week, I may be changing my mind about Cincinnati. But for right now, I'll take the Bengals at -3. Next up, I think this is going to be a really good game this week, is the New York Jets versus the Denver Broncos. Right now, the Broncos are favored by 2.5. They're coming off a big win in Chicago, big comeback win. Russ started cooking. Bears just kind of fell apart there at the end. And Zach Wilson, based on that Sunday night game, he's starting to look pretty good. I know Aaron Rodgers came in, and the Jets fans kind of had really high hopes for Aaron Rodgers, but unfortunately he got hurt. But you can see the impact he's already made on Zach Wilson in just the few short months he's been there. Zach Wilson, to me, was the better quarterback Sunday night against Patrick Mahomes. I know Patrick Mahomes is still, don't get me wrong, he's still good and still great and everything. But I'm going to roll with the Zach Wilson train for right now. I like what I saw on Sunday night, so I'm going to take the New York Jets here at +2.5. Next up is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, Kansas City is favored by 5.5. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game no matter what. Minnesota's defense isn't great. Kansas City's defense is always kind of shaky. I played them last week in my fantasy league because they were playing the Jets, and Jets ended up scoring 20 points on them. Well, 18 because they got that safety. But I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Chiefs win by 2 scores, if not 10. Kirk Cousins is going to get his touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes is going to get his touchdowns. I think this is, I keep calling it a bounce-back game, but I think the Chiefs are going to come out and make a statement based on the way they played last week. So I'm going to take the Chiefs here at minus 5.5. That leads us to our Sunday night game, which is a potential playoff matchup. Could be an NFC Championship matchup in the future. Is the Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are favored by 3.5 right now. I could see that going either way. I think Dak is a big game for Dak to see if he can really do it to some people. I know he's been putting up yards and everything like that, but if you look at the games and everything, he's putting up yards and touchdowns against not so great teams, and I think this is the one game he can go out there and prove himself and shut a lot of the haters up. But I think that San Francisco offense and defense is going to be too much for the Dallas Cowboys. Still be a close game, I think, but I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers at minus 3.5. They got McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. You shut one of those guys down, they still got 3 other people they're going to go to. And this will be a big game for Brock Purdy as well. So I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers at minus 3.5. And that leads us to our very last game, which is the Monday night game. So we got the Green Bay Packers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Right now, the Packers are favored by 1.5. And like I said, these could all change leading up to Sunday. I'm going to take Jordan Love. I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play. I haven't really checked that out yet. But I think Jordan Love will bounce back this game, and he'll put up some big numbers. I want to say big numbers. He'll probably throw for 3 touchdowns or so. Aaron Jones involved in that offense. And really, the spread's only 1.5, so field goal wins like a 24-27 or 34-31, something like that. Field goal wins the game. Could come down to that, and Green Bay would cover the spread there. So I'll take Green Bay at minus 1.5. So I'll just run through them all here just as a little preview and everything, or not preview, just as a recap. Thursday night we got the Bears at the Commanders. I'm going to take the Commanders at minus 6.5. The Jags at the Bills. I'm going to take the Jaguars plus 5.5 here. Houston at Atlanta. I'm going to take Houston at plus 1.5. We got the Panthers at the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions at minus 8.5. Titans at the Colts. I got the Titans at plus 1.5. The Giants at the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Dolphins minus 10.5. The Saints at the Patriots. This, like I said earlier, this one can go back and forth, and I'm still flip-flopping. But for right now, I'm going to take the Patriots at minus 1.5. The Ravens at the Steelers. I'm going to take the Ravens at minus 4. Eagles at the Rams. I'm going to take the Eagles at minus 4.5. Bengals at the Cardinals. This is my last week picking the Bengals, unless they can prove to me that they can actually go and do something. I'll take them at minus 3. And to me, I'm going to say the game of the week, but an exciting game to watch. The Jets at the Broncos. I'm going to take the Jets at plus 2.5. And then that leads us to Kansas City at Minnesota. I'll take the Chiefs at minus 5.5. And then the Sunday night game, Dallas at San Francisco. I'll take San Francisco at minus 3.5. And then the Monday night game, the Packers at the Raiders. I will take the Packers at minus 1.5. Like I said, these are just my opinions. Doesn't mean you're going to hit big on these. Don't take my word as gold for these. It's just my personal opinions. Like I said earlier, these spreads could change every single day. I'm just going based off what they were when I recorded this, when I wrote them down. So they could go one way, could go complete opposite way. I know I thought I'd had for sure bets locked in and everything, and they come out and something completely different happens than I thought was going to happen. But I'll leave it there. We'll check back in, see how we did next week. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check us out on Facebook, Instagram. I was about to call it Twitter, but it's X. TikTok, everything like that. We're all on there. Leave a comment how you think my picks are going to play out. I'd love to hear your guys' picks. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.